Welcome everyone, first of all, and thank you for joining us. We are joined by the wonderful Lucy. We got too excited about this, so apologies. We're very, very excitable about this. But before we kick off, and she's going to share a bit about her experiences, and then we'll have an opportunity to ask any questions that we've got. And then if there's any questions that we can't answer, we are absolutely committed to helping you find those answers. So we'll definitely support you in doing that. But just before we kick off, we need to make sure Lucy's human. And that she's one of us. So I've got a couple of quick fire questions for you, Lucy. The idea is that you just answer as quickly as you can. And
God, it's dangerous.
yeah. What was your favourite age?
30.
Ooh, what was it about 30 that was good?
I think when you say, oh, I'm 30, people treat you a bit differently because you get out of that 20s area. And also, I think you get to 30 and you think, and pardon my language, you think, oh, fuck it. I'm just going to, I've spent too long pretending that I don't care about that, and I do, so I'm just going to bloody say it. So I think it's that you get to the point you're like, I'm 30, let's just get on with this, and you sort of become who you want to become. So yeah, 30 for me.
Completely, definitely agree with that. What's on your nightstand?
Oh God, a load of books that I feel really guilty that I haven't quite got to reading, because I'm one of those that gets in bed and goes, right, I'm going to read my book, and then I get stuck on TikTok or something. Pathetic. And then I've got my Alexa, which I actually can't live without, and something. Alexa's talking to me now. And floss, because I'm nearly 40, so I'm a bit obsessed with flossing. So there you go.
That's what I've got to look forward to then. Give us a snapshot of an everyday small joy.
I think now, oh my God, especially now, it's taking my daughter to preschool. So we've been through such a transition, and for anyone who follows me on LinkedIn, I document almost everything I do. The only thing on there is not going to the toilet. The thing that's not on there is going to the toilet. That's what I meant to say. Because I'm literally an emitter. I will tell everybody everything. So obviously preschools have been shut, and now this week we've got to a point where we're like, right, preschool's open. We get up, we've got this routine. She's only 3. I take her, and we have that journey to preschool, which I really missed, and I took for granted actually before, and now I've got it back. I'm like, oh no, this is good. This is quality time. I should treat it as such. So that at the moment.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Lucy. Right, you're human. We trust you. Let's get cracking.
Well, because I am organisation obsessed, I sent Jay a little sort of thing about what I was going to talk through, and she was like, "Oh, it's only casual." I was like, "Oh yeah, I know. I do everything like this." So, but yeah, I'm Lucy. I am 36, and I'm a mother of 1. I live in Wimbledon, and I was an event. Well, I started off as an event professional, and I was in that industry for about 10 years. So initially, I started off doing, I think it was at uni. No, it was at school. I used to do it on the weekends, and then I used to do it at uni. But I used to just do any and every job and just turn up. Like, I've dressed up as stupid things. I've been a giant cigarette. I remember when that happened. I've been a strawberry. Yeah. I've been all sorts, and that's just how I got into it, and it was good fun and good money. Yeah. So then after that, I thought, actually, it's getting a bit more serious, and I started being event staff, and just, you know how it is, you join a few agencies, you just turn up. And then I went off to uni, did it all through uni, brilliant. Everyone was working in the bars, and I was going off and doing my thing. And I used to come home on a weekend and do it. And then I did my degree, and I hated uni, if I'm honest. It wasn't for me. I did my degree, and I was like, right, I'm going to go and get a proper job. I've got a degree, I'm going to get a proper job. So I went and worked at a group of wine bars in the city, not in the bar. Or perhaps that would have been better. But I actually went into the office as an event manager, as an operations manager. Again, organisational was obviously a thing. I stuck at it for about 2 years, and then I was like, do you know what? This isn't really for me. So I actually left after 2 years, and I said to my, I think he wasn't my husband at the time, but I said to my husband that I think I've had enough. I'm going to go self-employed, and I'm going to go back to events. I said, I've got enough contacts, now's the time. So he was like, oh, brilliant. I was like, I'm sorry, but I am. But lucky for me, I've always been fairly lucky on that side. He's a funeral director by trade, family business, and he's always been really supportive. So financially, it's always meant that he's always working. So if anything sort of fell off on my end, it wasn't a massive deal. So I've owed a lot to him for that over the years. But yeah, I went out and I was like, I'm just going to go it alone. So the reason I was laughing about Liverpool and Manchester, because I did this job, and not too many of us drove at the time. I did this job where the company rented us a people carrier. And they were like, Lucy, you're half sensible. I want you to get all the guys and girls in the car, in this people carrier, and go up the M1, and you need to travel round. And I don't know if anyone ever remembers it, but it was Xbox Connect. It's not something they do anymore. And basically, we had to dress up. You're going to laugh. We had to dress up in like these, you know, like those gimp outfits that zip up the back, that go right over your face. Yeah. And we had to copy and mimic people, because that's what the computer did. But it was real guerrilla marketing at the time. So people used to pull up with a trailer, like a big trailer that was done at like a home, and people would get in it. But 9 times out of 10, we weren't allowed to do it. So the council would come along and be like, what are you doing? And jog us on. So then I'd get all the people back in the car, and we'd drive off again. And it was just the best time. It really was the best time. So then as time moved on, I was like, this needs to get a bit more serious. But I got sort of pulled into the sort of managing of hostesses and event staff. And I say hostesses, it's not a term people really use anymore, but it was girls, and then we were hostesses. That's just what we did. And then, yeah, it started getting a bit more serious. And after that, we did lots of events, black tie events. You know, I remember when the hoo-ha happened about the president's dinner. I'd worked at that. I don't remember any of that stuff going on, but maybe it did. But, you know, and that's the funny thing as well, that I'll come on to later. Events is really female driven, and it's a real empowering place to be, in complete comparison to working in construction. I'll come on to that in a minute. But yeah, so for me, it was clear that my forte was logistics. I was an A to B person. I wasn't going to be designing the event. I wasn't capable to do the technical, but I did understand, because I'd been on so many events, how they run literally back to front. I could get you in the door, through the cloakroom, you name it, to the toilet, whatever you need. So then I actually got picked up by a really big events agency that I used to do a lot of work for. And someone said, why don't you come work for us? And I was like, oh, you know, I've been self-employed for a long time. I've had a lot of autonomy over what I've done. And I like that I can choose my own job. But in fairness, anyone who's self-employed knows you don't do that. You literally, the phone rings and you take every single job. That's just what you do. And, you know, I used to miss events, birthdays, because I'd be like, I've got to go and do this job. I've got to go and do this job. Because you always felt like if you turned down a job, you were never going to be employed for the next one. But so I was like, okay, maybe a bit of security might be quite nice. So I joined Jack Morton. Now, Jack Morton are absolutely massive. For anybody who doesn't know them, they actually run the fireworks display in London on New Year's Eve. So I joined them as a logistics manager, and we did some, oh my God, just some brilliant things. Like, at the time, technology was becoming massive, and they were always the companies with the money. So it was Samsung, Google, you know, anything like that. Is mobile phones. We did World Mobile Congress. And obviously, as it got bigger, there was more traveling, which I absolutely loved. So we did like Barcelona and Macau, and we went to Atlanta and America, and just all over. I never saw any of it, and I always lived out of a suitcase, and I was always knackered. And every time my husband picked me up from the airport, he was like, "Lucy, you look like a drug addict. What have you done?" And I was like, "I've just been working 15-hour days. I don't, you know." I remember one time I worked 26 hours straight, and it was like being drunk. It is. That's the only way I can describe it. Yeah, so I had a brilliant time. I absolutely loved it. Anybody who says to me, "Should I go into events?" I'm like, do it. But the problem came for me was when it was a bit later. When I turned 30, I'd been married for 4 years by then. And my husband was like, "Lucy, you're just never here." And he said, "I love you, and I didn't marry someone who was just never going to be here." So I was like, okay, maybe it's time to make a change. And I was a bit like, but what on earth am I going to do? Like, how am I going to tell people that I've been a hostess at dinners where people have got drunk, and I've taken people to the rugby, Ascot, I've done all that. Then I've delivered an event over here where we've taken, oh my God, we took like 50 people over to America, and the idea was that they won a trip into space. I mean, it was nuts. I was like, how am I going to form a plan from all this? And then oddly, out of nowhere, somebody said to me, and it always happens to me, "I think you'd be really good at this. I think you'd be really good at this." Like, that is how I do every job. Someone's like, "I think you'd be good at this." And I go, "Oh, okay." So flattered. And then I go and do that. That's all I ever do. So I was like, "Oh, construction, really?" I was like, "Oh, no, I don't know. No, that's not for me." And he was like, "Yeah, it's not all high vis and hard hats. Come to the office." At the time, it was obviously on his mind, because he was like, "Well, we've got a lot of women." And I was thinking, "Bet you haven't." But anyway, I joined Keltbray. So it's a civil engineering firm made up of about 28 business units. And the idea is that they provide all these services that it ends up becoming a one-stop shop. It's got about 2,000 employees, but it's such a complicated business. Part of the challenge when going there was, how on earth am I going to learn A, about this business, and B, I don't know anything about construction. So I said, "Look, I know you've offered me a job." I said, "But I want to have an interview with someone who understands construction." So they speak to me and say, "Lucy, this is where we're going to put you." And they were like, "Okay." So after a 3-hour interview, I was like, "Christ, this is huge." So he come out and he come back to me and he said, "Look, I think you'd be good for business development. You're clearly articulate. You're happy to talk to anyone." And he said, "I think this is your thing." So I was like, "Fine, but how am I going to sell something to people that I know nothing about?" And he was like, "You'll get it. Trust me." So now we're looking at HS2. But I think the reason why I love it so much, and the similarities are stark, they're the same reason why I liked being an event manager. So bear with me, because I'm going to just read through a couple of the bullet points. So the first thing, and these are tangible. So when I sat down to write this list, I was like, I want to give people actual tangible things that they can say, "Oh yeah, I've done that. I'm gonna transfer that over." Or, "Oh, I do that all the time. I hadn't really thought about what it meant or what it can be." So the reason why I love it, you have to learn about the project. So Heathrow, I literally learned absolutely everything about that project. That there wasn't anything anyone could say that I didn't already know, or hadn't looked at, or hadn't contacted someone about. And it's literally about learning the ins and outs of it. Become the oracle of your project. So people are almost forced to have to come and ask you about it, because they're like, "Well, she'll know, we'll go and ask her." So there's a definite thing around. And with events, that's what you do. Because you've been there from start to finish, you know absolutely everything. Whether it's a tiny event that you know, where you're pulling desks together and people are going to sit and have a conference, or you know, I did one for I did one for Samsung, and it was 5.5 million budget in 4 hours. I'd never seen an event like it. They were like, we've got some singers, but we're not going to tell you who they are. And we were like, oh, I wonder who they are. One of them was Emily Sandé, and it was the point where Emily Sandé was massive. And then they were like, oh, we've got a DJ, and we were like, oh, it's probably going to be some bloke, you know. And it's like, will.i.am. And you were like, Christ, you know. And it was a private party at the end of the day. So, yeah, because you've learned everything about it from start to finish, you know it, you just do. And when someone asks you and you think, oh, I'm not sure I know that, you do. So the next one for me was also about autonomy. When you're an event manager, whether you're managing a whole event or just a part of it, like the logistics, like I used to do in the end, you have autonomy over that, a part of it. You own it. You live by it, you die by it, because that is the part that you deliver. And with an event as well, a bit like project management, if that part fails and they go, well, who's looking after that part? And it's you. Well, it's you. You know, there is no, well, actually, no, it was you. You have to go, oh, okay. But there's some real satisfaction in that autonomy. And I haven't come across many people that I know that are happy with autonomy. Like, they like it until the shit hits the fan, essentially. Then they're like, oh, I don't like this very much. The next one is multitasking. I mean, God, for anyone who's been on an event, you don't know your ass from your elbow once it started. All the planning in the world is so strategically done, and you plan it within an inch of its life, and then you get on site and it's like, well, you might as well chuck the paper in the air and just run around, because people are trying to sign off budget and things that actually we never signed off. This is not even in the budget. But what happens is you become that person who just gets on with it. And it's the same with project management. Multitasking is key. It's about speaking to different people, taking in different people's point of view. Sometimes you might be managing more than one project at once, you know. So multitasking is massive. The other one I would say is what I used to love about events, which I love about this, is track record. Like I said earlier, we had a saying, you're only as good as your last event, and you're only as good as your last project. So it doesn't matter what came before that. The project is key. And it was, and again, that feeds back into the autonomy part of, well, I own this, this is mine. And then it becomes more important. So again, every job is different. With events, every event is completely different. There's absolutely no point in going, well, we did it like this last time. Yeah, but that was like, you had about 40 people, there's 500 out there, and you go, oh, okay. And it's the same with project management and construction. You never turn up on site and go, yeah, this is a carbon copy of exactly what we did over there. You know, it doesn't work like that. You know, the company I worked for, we demolished Earl's Court, which was ironic because I spent many years in Earl's Court, and then all of a sudden we were there knocking it down. It made me a bit teary. But you know, and then the next week it was like, oh God, what's a different job? Chelsea Barracks. We've also done a lot of piling, huge round concrete things that go in the ground, very boring. At Chelsea Barracks. So we're over there digging massive boreholes and putting huge concrete piles in the ground. You can never go in and say, yeah, that's exactly what we did there. So what you'll find is, as you go on from project to project, you learn so much, and your ability to take on all that knowledge is vast. You do become this like fountain of knowledge. So, and also nobody wants to work on the same thing over and over. I mean, that is dull. So you almost get excited about what the next project's going to bring. Again, logistics and organisation is just my thing. I just love it. It's A to B. As simple as. It's not, rocket science is another one of my favourite sayings. It's common sense. What is the most efficient way to do what we're going to do? With events, it was people. What's the most efficient way we're going to get these people from here to here without anyone having an accident, dying, or suing us? So, you know, it's the same with your project management. The logistics of it and the organisation of it makes it, once you've got that down, it makes it easier to deliver, easier to achieve buy-in. You're clear on your goals, everybody else is clear on your goals. Because the other thing with project management as well is you're not just managing a project, you're managing people. So you're bringing in people as well. So almost you become like a team leader. And it's sometimes, if you've got a difficult group of people, it's more about achieving their buy-in than trying to do your project, if you know what I mean. So the next one is simple methods. I love a simple method. I am spider diagram queen. I get a massive A3 piece of paper and I just do a huge brain dump, and I do it over and over and over and over until it's almost fine-tuned. Then I write it into a list, and it's exactly the same when I deliver a strategy, to be fair. And that's how I used to do events. You just write down all your ideas, and then you get it, you go back to your logistics and organisation, and you get it bang into a formalised list of, you know, this is what we're going to do. And I suppose the next one is from paper to implementation, which actually is all well and good writing down what you're going to do, but actually the implementation is the how you're going to do it. And that goes back to the buy-in. You can't do anything, no one's an island. You have to do it with other people. But that, I think, because you've had the on-site experience of being an event manager, the productive bit, the production part for event managers on a project is really easy, because you've kind of done the bit where actually, right, we're going to organize it, we're going to plan it, we're going to write a production schedule, this is what technical are doing, this is what logistics are doing, but now we've got to go and do it. Actually, because you're a doer and you've delivered your event from start to finish, you know, getting it off the paper and delivering it is just second nature. It's just what you've always done. But because you've never really thought about it like that, because you're just like, I'm just an event manager, it's just what we do. But actually, that is what project managers, I find, and any manager, especially for strategy, really struggles with. On paper, they're like, we're going to do this, it's going to be amazing. On paper, everything's theory. Nothing's actually done until you've actually gone and done it. So again, event manager, project manager, same. They can work alone or they can work in a team. I, for one, am a bit of a nightmare. I like working alone. I am a bit of a loner though, but also it goes back to the autonomy part. I like autonomy over my project. Also, I'm a control freak from my sins. So actually, someone else getting involved, I'm a bit like, whoa, no, this is my project. But actually, like I just said, can't do anything alone. So that whole being able to adapt of, well, I can do it by myself. I will take ownership of it. But if you want me to slot into a team, which you have to do to deliver an event, you can't deliver an event by yourself, and you can't deliver a project by yourself. And someone I really admire always says, he says, Lucy, and it's the owner of Keltbreak, and he said to me, I didn't get where I got today by ignoring the intelligent people around me. He's like, always surround yourself with the people that know more than you, he said, and you'll be fine. And I always take it with me. I think, you're right. As much as I'm bloody minded and I want to get my head down and I want to plow on through, actually, 3 heads are better than 1. You want to take in people's ideas. You want to bring people in. And I think as you get older as well, people want to learn from you. And if you're anything like me, I really, really want to help people come in behind me to learn, because I think I could help them skip all that crappy bit that I had to go through. And I can just go, whoa, no, don't bother doing that. Do it this way. It's much easier. And they go, oh, cool. Yeah, brilliant. So definitely alone or in a team. But I think, again, project manager, event manager, you are quite single-minded because you're driven by a project. You're driven by a goal. When you're event manager, it's delivering the event. When you're a project manager, it's delivering the project. That is no different. The whole aim and objective for you is that project. So it's easy for you to see through the crap, to see the wood through the trees, because there's your end goal. You know where you're going to go because that's the project. And everything you do, oh my God, it's so tough to let go of any control. Really hard. So anything you do is driven towards your project, and it's the same as an event. Decision maker. People who work on events are not scared of making decisions because you have to. Sometimes you have to make them there and then. I have sometimes made decisions and thought, shit, that's going to come back and bite me, that one. But actually, I was under pressure, I was on the hoof, and a decision needed to be made, and everybody was looking at me, so I made the decision. You'll find that I've definitely found when I went into construction, when I got into that office space as well, and that 8 to 5, and there's a hierarchy, it's very easy for people to start deferring decision making. It's a bit like CCing everyone in on your email, isn't it? And going, well, if I CC them all in, I've told everyone, and then hopefully someone else will make the decision. You know, and you're a bit like, who is going to make this bloody decision? You know, and then you get into a company like mine, there's a big board, and you're like, right, who's going to make the decision? And they're like, well, you need to tell that person, you need to tell that. I'm like, no, you're a director, you need to tell that. Surprised I haven't been fired. But yeah, so but an event manager and a project manager, you are not scared about decisions. My only worry is sometimes when you fit into that hierarchy of a business, you kind of have to start deferring your decision to someone else. And that makes me a bit uncomfortable because I'm like, well, I want to make this decision. And he's like, yeah, but it's not about that. It actually has to take in this. And you're like, oh, I don't want to take that in. He's like, yeah, but it's not just about your project. It's part of a bigger picture. Oh, okay. And then, you know, so you kind of have to, again, it's about relinquishing that control, definitely. Budgets, getting down to the nitty gritty. If you've budgeted an event, you can budget a project. You know, on an event, we were budgeting the bloody toilet roll, to the catering, to the rope and posts, to the carpet that people were going to come in just in case it rained, or the flooring in the giant marquee that's probably going to flood because you put it down on the ground and you haven't laid a linen down to stop it flooding, and blah 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 blah. Like, literally, that is a prime example of multitasking. I know that because I go, oh my god, this is going to happen, and then I go, oh my god, but all this is going to happen. So, but budgets, you can literally budget anything. A spreadsheet is literally my best friend. I can't be alone on that. Some other people must love a spreadsheet. I can't do any sums or formulas on them. Everything is really basic, but it's a good list. But if you've budgeted for a client, a demanding client who says, I want this, 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 and this, and you go, oh, brilliant, this event's going to be amazing. And then you give them the budget and they go, oh, no, I don't want to spend that. I'm like, yeah, but that's what you said you wanted. Yeah, I do want that, but I don't want to spend that much. All right, okay. So it's you can account every penny, and you can be comfortable in your decision. When you hand over the budget, you go, okay, yeah, I'm happy with that budget. And the other one for me, the massive one, is satisfaction. Oh, it used to give me, and it was the best part of the job, great satisfaction when we all stood back with a glass of wine watching the event unfold, and you go, we did that. That wouldn't have happened without us running around like blue-ass flies, absolutely knackered. Without us, that wouldn't have happened. And yes, I'm sorry. See, I told you I can chat anyone to death. Yeah, so satisfaction is key. So the other thing I wanted to tell you of, just because Jay said to me, talk about what it is you're aiming for and where you want to go. So basically, I've never been shy about coming forward, as you might be able to tell. I went in and said, I want to be a strategic project director in 10 years. That might have been a little bit. But I was like, all right, I'll give it 15. But I realised one of the massive challenges is, for me, it's a male-dominated industry. And that is where I'll leave it. It's so difficult. That is, for me, it's one of the biggest challenges. I've gone from all these women getting on, just doing it. And sometimes, okay, you do need a bloke to go, just stop and just, we're going to do this. But actually now I've gone to a load of blokes who, and sometimes, and willy waving is my favourite phrase, you end up sitting in a meeting and you're like, whoa, boys, sit down. You know, it's like some sort of Game of Thrones competition. So, and that is what I would say is in a nutshell, that is what I'd say is my biggest challenge. I'll stop talking now.
Brilliant. No, that was perfect. Thank you so much, Lucy. So we've got some questions coming through, guys. If you have any others, keep them coming through, or you can ask Lucy yourself. So I'll just read out the first one while you guys are thinking on some. So Matthew asks, did you need to learn any specific skills, knowledge relating to construction? If so, what were they?
I absolutely did. So basically, the business I work in is quite unique. We are made up of 28 different business units. So we demolish buildings, we drill piles, we remediate the ground, we'll build temporary work. Some of this you're gonna be like, I don't know what any of this is. But you know, then we build rail networks. You know, it's electricity, overhead lines. What's the other one we do, which is fairly new to the group? It's power distribution, decommissioning. So yes, you need to touch on some of it. You don't have to become an expert in any of it, because there are people there who are experts. There are engineers. Nobody's expecting you overnight to become an engineer. And if they are, they need to jog on, because that is just mental.
Brilliant, thank you. Nadine, how did you find the transition from the exciting events to project management in an office environment?
Really hard, if I'm honest. And I would say I really had to bide my time, because you have to achieve, for people to trust you and buy into what you want to do, you have to A, show them that you're willing and you're a doer, you're going to do it, and B, they're going to look at you and go, yeah, but you don't know anything about this. And you're going to go, no, I don't, but I am willing to learn. And I think it's that willingness to learn from other people that will see you through. So it's definitely about biding your time, but then actually you do get to a point where you're like, right, I'm done biding my time now, I'm going to unleash. That's how I'd say.
Awesome. And how did the initial job offer come about? Do you think that's the best way to go about it?
Yeah, that's the tricky bit, because it was not what you know, it's a who you know. And unfortunately, I do think as this job market contracts and furlough and redundancies, etc., I think relationships are going to be key. And again, it's like the stuff that Jay does. You know, it's about building a network, building a tribe, getting in people's faces. Like when I go on to a forum like this, like I did one yesterday, and we were talking about Project 13. Again, something I knew nothing about, but now anybody in the building's like, oh, Project 13, yeah, go and ask Lucy. So I joined this group yesterday, and there were so many brilliant people on this call. So on the call, I went down the list, and I was on my LinkedIn, I was like, right, connect. I am literally, you can't get away from me, I will connect the shit out of you. So, but again, like I say, if anybody wants to connect with me and I can put them in touch with other people, please do. Events or construction, because I've got people that have moved on and started events agencies. I've got people in different areas of businesses. So anything, just contact me and ask, definitely.
I think that's fantastic advice around the network and relationships. And that's something we can all be doing right now.
Yeah, it's so easy as well. It's not difficult. You just got to get your head down and do it, I think.
Do you feel that progression is slow because you are a woman? Are there any initiatives to drive diversity?
Progression is really slow because I'm a woman. It drives me insane. It's one of my real bugbears on a day-to-day basis. And I'd say, when you're at work and you think, I've had enough of this, it's that prompts me to say it more than anything. I also think age. And do you know why I say age as well? I think it's young and I think it's both ends of the spectrum. I think there's a real push at the moment to pick up your 30, 40, 50. But anyone in their 20s is almost deemed a bit too young. And then anyone in their 50s, not so much 50s because we've got a lot of 50-year-old men, but anyone in their 50s moving on to 60s. I think there's a bit of age discrimination going on. I don't think that's construction alone, but construction is definitely behind every other, probably not every other, but most businesses out there. So
okay. And did you have to do any project management qualifications or any certifications?
No, I haven't done anything. That's the funny thing. People are have you got an event management or hospitality? I'm like, no. Have you got project management? No. It's just about positioning yourself and just really pushing for what you want to do. And I understand that's not easy for everybody. It's about confidence and it's about how you feel about yourself, the job that you're in, the company you're in. But it really is about that bloody minded confidence part as well. But no, I don't. I did media and journalism. It was a complete waste of time. If I did my life again, I wouldn't go. So no, you don't. But if you want to, I must say construction companies are really good if they've got the budget for you to be able to put your hands up and go, do you know what, I'd really be interested in learning a bit more about this or learn a bit more about that. 9 times out of 10, they will put you through it. I have found that in construction.
And in construction, Lucy, is there any particular qualification that you've seen that is more kind of popular or deemed more credible in terms of project management qualifications?
Do you know what? No, not specific to project management, although I am aware that there are some out there. But the most of the stuff that I come across around delivery of project management is related to personal development. I don't know why. I don't know. It is a lot of it is around your own personal development, which is obviously huge at the moment. So
yeah, and I think project management in particular, it's such a people orientated space. It's all about influencing your leadership skills. Yeah. So I sort of understand the personal development route. Cool. Okay, and a final comment here before we stop. When you have a good team, letting go is much easier. If I keep control, I know it will get done, but the minute you hand something over, that guarantee reduces.
Yes, and do you know what? I have to say, it is, if somebody said to me, I've got many, but if somebody had to say to me, someone said to me, what is your biggest, I wouldn't say fault, but challenge with myself, it is about letting go. And I have actually got better at it. It does depend on the person, I will say that. But I now work with someone at the office who I trust completely. And I know when I hand it over to her or ask her to do something, she will deliver it. She might not deliver it exactly how I wanted to deliver it. But her methods don't have to be the same as mine. You know, the result doesn't even have to be the same as mine, because as well, control freaks, they stifle innovation, ideas, creativity, and you end up micromanaging. And don't get me wrong, funny enough, I'm not a micromanager. I'm a bit like, right, that's yours, off you go. And they're like, oh, like, oh, is that it? Yeah, that's it, go. You know, I'm like, look, if you want to ask me a question, just come back and ask me a question. Like, I'm not intimidating, I'll answer anything you want. But yeah, definitely, I'd say it's one of my biggest problems, actually. Just to say, please find me on all social media. I am on LinkedIn. I will get on your nerves, you might want to mute me. LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I've got a women's group on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, but that gets a bit political. But yeah, I love a bit of social media, so please find me, message me, ask me any questions. I'm happy to give you my email address if you want. Just let me know. I really want to help anyone, other people coming into the industry, men, women. I just think if we can help each other drive and strive to something, I think, you know, we'll be in a good place.